You know, one day, one day. When will that one day happen? You know, when will it be? Nigeria is 61. But anyway, today's show is a people's show. And what do I mean? Nigerians watching us from wherever can actually call the program and tell us how you feel about Nigeria at 61. And you only do that in 20 seconds. If you have a comment, please do make it. If you also have a question for any of my guests, you can ask. The number to call is 080-537-89021. That's the number on the screen. Please, you tell us your name and where you're calling from very quickly in 20 seconds and tell us, you know, what you feel as we have turned 61. In case you also want to make a prayer, you know, you are free to do that, but in 20 seconds. Doctor?
May I come in? Looking at the president's speech and watching him on the first Friday, 3 things stood out for me too. The most important is security, because you cannot do anything without security. I was a bit sad that nothing was said in concrete terms as to how we would, you know, take care of these security challenges. Yes, he had changed the heads of the security apparatus, but we need to also, you know, have numbers and get a sense of what they've done since they took over. So I'm calling on them to also give us an idea of what they have done so far and what they plan to do going forward. The president can't do everything, but he has touched on that point. The second point for us is education.
Okay. Doctor, I'll come back to you. There's a caller on the line. Francis, here in Abuja. Hello, Francis. Welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Good morning, Francis. Please, can you make your comment or your question quickly? Francis, we can't hear you, and I don't know why. I'm hearing an interruption there. Please, can you just call back and see if the line will be clearer? I'm hearing, yes, thank you. Okay, doctor.
Yeah, the second thing that stood out for me was his comments about the health sector. And I was disappointed that he is blaming the developed world for our lack of vaccine. He said to us, everything he said was good, but then we need to now start producing vaccines. You can't rely on vaccines to be donated to you with a population of 200 million. It doesn't work. And telling us to go and get vaccine, we have so far gotten 4 million only. So who gets it? The people in my village, they don't have it. And they will not get it if we don't produce vaccine. That's a truism. So we should, and we have brilliant Nigerians working in biomedical sciences that can produce these things.
Okay, Philip calling from Yanya. Hello, Philip. Welcome to the program.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Please shoot quickly. Philip, I can hear my voice over there. So lower the volume of your TV set. Put it off.
Felix, not Philip.
Okay, Felix. Please lower the volume of your TV set.
Okay, can you hear me sound and clear now? Okay, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. I think the statement from Mr. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. We can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Okay. The statement from Mr. President is actually true. No one has done what his government has done. Okay. The statement from Mr. President is very true.
Okay.
No one has done what he has done for some years now. Since 1991, no government has done what he has done. And what he has done is he has taken Nigeria back.
Okay. Thank you, Felix. I think you've made your points there. Thank you very much. Doctor, let me allow you to land on your third point.
Yes, the third point is on the educational sector. The educational sector is suffering a lot, you know, with strike action, with some of the children not doing their WAEC, coming from a whole year of inactivity in that sector, with children not going to school, and with the COVID-19 pandemic and all that. And then at the end of it, instead of, you know, the children to go back to school, the lecturers went on strike. Rightfully or wrongfully, they have a point. We should listen to everybody who is agitated. But most importantly is to make sure that the children go back to school and go back to school on a sustainable basis and see how they will do catch up. But some of those children who did not get to do their WAEC this year, in all the states of the Federation, not just 1 or 2 states, we are sitting on a time bomb, because those are the adults and the people that we're handing over this economy to. And basically, if they give them a chance to do the WAEC again, that's good. But if they don't, that means they've lost 1 year of their life. And some of them would never come back to where they were before now. You know, so it's a very sad situation.
Okay. Fadekemi, what do you have to say about this? The caller, I think Felix, what I was able to hear from him was that what President Buhari said, that no administration has done what he has done since 1999 by taking Nigeria back. That was what I heard, that he said that no administration has taken Nigeria back the way this president has. That's his own view. What do you think, especially in the area of economy, and what are the economic solutions, perhaps the quick wins that we need to begin to embark on to be able to, you know, reinvent ourselves at 61?
Thanks, Nancy. Funny enough, just when I was listening to or looking through the president's speech, I think the main thing that stuck out to me was the reference he made to our recent GDP numbers. So the fact that in Q2 of this year, our GDP growth rate was at 5%. And so, you know, for people listening to that, I guess, like, you know, that sounds very successful, especially when we think about where we were coming from last year, where we recorded 2 quarters of negative growth, which essentially implies a recession. But then I feel like it's important for us to take that number, the GDP number, into context with other macroeconomic metrics as well. So when you think about the fact that unemployment continues to increase by, unemployment has increased by 33%, we also have food prices that have increased by over 20% on the year. So essentially all that indicates is more and more people do not have access to jobs, and the price of like food, which is a basic necessity, has even become more expensive for people to afford. I feel like I was reading a World Bank report that essentially reported that, you know, a significant proportion of the Nigerian population has actually opted to either skip or reduce their meals just because of this impact of, you know, food prices rising, people just feeling poor and not being able to afford.
Okay, Fadekemi, can I halt you for a bit? Let me just halt you for a bit. We have Tina from Bida calling now. Hello, and welcome to the program. Yes, please, go ahead.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Nancy.
Good morning, Tina.
And to your guest in the studio.
Thank you.
Good morning, each and every one of you. What I have to say about the president is, what I have to say about your president, about the president's speech is this. I think I don't even know where it's coming from. To say that he has done the best in 60 years. I don't know where that one comes from. Because like someone rightly said there, what have you done for crying out loud? Nigerians are suffering. And the first thing that we have to talk about is security. Without security, how can those who even go to farms go and farm? It's like we're playing with the most important things in our lives in this country. If you go to farm, if those who go to farm, especially the women who are being raped there, who are being molested, who has the job to go to farm now? And then where are the roads? After farming, where are the roads that you take these goods from and bring it into a township or so? And so the most important thing is that food are expensive.
Okay.
Ordinary cup of egusi, made cup of egusi is 200. The masses are suffering.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Tina.
You have not done well at all. You have taken us backward.
Okay.
10 steps backward.
Thank you very much, Tina. Thank you. Thank you for your contribution. Tina definitely is angry, and I think many Nigerians will also share her frustration because the price of food is skyrocketing. Fadekemi, please land on your points, then we go into perhaps the economic solutions and the quick wins very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, Unfortunately, I don't think what I would want to propose would be any quick wins, because I
Oh.
think quick wins are what have gotten us here today. So, having that short-term outlook on policy. So what I was talking about earlier with like monetary policy, for example, that if we continue to go down that route, essentially what we're signing up for would be maybe just like a short-term increase in output. People feel like, yes, all of a sudden they can now start to, afford goods and services that they couldn't before, because interest rates are lower. But then what then happens is eventually that starts to feed back into the economy in terms of like higher prices, and then we end up back at square one. So what I would want to advocate for would be those policies that are targeted at like the supply side of the economy. So how to make sure that we are producing more, and not just producing more, but producing more efficiently. So if we're thinking about like, if we want to boost the agricultural sector, for example, how can we make sure that with the existing resources that we have, we're able to actually like produce more in a way that is cost effective, so that so that we're actually meeting the demands of like meeting the demands of local consumption, and the vast majority of the population's needs would be met.
Okay, Mr. Oyedele, please come in here. Fadekemi says, no quick wins. Quick wins have gotten us where we are now because we don't look long term. Even though we know the questions, we answer them very shortly, short answers to perhaps long questions. That brings me to the issue of the national development plans. There's a national development plan being worked on now, Agenda 2050, taking over from ERGP, taking over from Vision 2020. I remember many years ago, like 15 years ago, I was looking forward to 2020. 2020 was last year. It just passed, with some other agenda of other presidents. President Yaradua was, President Jonathan was transformation agenda, I guess. President Yaradua was seven-point agenda. Now we have Agenda 2050. A committee has been inaugurated. The committee was inaugurated last year, co-chaired by, I think, Atedo Peterside and I think the Minister of Finance or so. What should we expect to see now? Nigeria at 61, what kind of long-term plan that we can measure should we begin to see?
Yeah, thank you. Now, I do agree with Fadekemi, but I'll say it's a combination of both quick wins, medium-term plans, and then more importantly, a long-term plan of maybe even the next 40, 50 years. You can have a 50-year plan, and then you review it maybe every 5 years. But I'll say in terms of the quick wins, the biggest one I see, which I think will make huge impact, is to do with policy over regulation and red tape within government. So today, if you decide now as we speak that you want to invest $100 million in Nigeria, God help you, the next 6 months you're still chasing approvals back and forth. You're not asking government to give you money, you have your money to put down, but the process is just so unbelievable to do almost anything, including for SMEs. I was speaking to some big-time investors just 2 days ago on Saturday, and we finished the whole conversation. I was more depressed than when we started. These are people who are already investing, but they just can't get anything done. So that for me will be the quick win if someone in the right place can take this very seriously to try and cut out the red tape, reduce bureaucracy, fine-tune the policies, and reduce over-regulation. Then the rest of it will be medium to long term. And this medium to long term, in developing a national plan, we should move away from all this GDP confusion. You tell someone that we recorded a growth of 5-something%, and they will think you're doing well, whereas this was just base effects compared to even Q1, Q2 was less. But that's very confusing for the average Nigerian. They really don't care because they don't take GDP to market to go and buy food. Should we start focusing on the sustainable development goals and put them in a way that they are measurable, right? No poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality. Let's just put these things down. Let's measure where we are today and start tracking it every year to see whether we are moving forward or going backward. And more importantly, I like the goal around peace and justice and strong institutions. So it's not enough to do the right thing. You must be seen to be doing the right thing, which I think this president needs to improve upon. So he speaks about one Nigeria every time, but then some of the actions tend to go contrary to that spirit of one Nigeria. And I'll say overall, maybe the role that Nigerians have to play is to not allow politicians to, throw us around like balls on a football pitch, right? They will tell us it's a matter of South versus North. They will tell us it's a matter about the Christian community versus Muslim. Whereas, like they're saying now with where the president should come from, they've started again. And the whole idea is let's try and use our own vested interests and selfish interests and ulterior motive to drive the population to help us achieve our objective. That's all they're doing. The real divisions we have in Nigeria is the youth versus the older generation. It is women versus men. It is the poor versus the rich. It is the politicians versus the rest of us. And they cut across. They're in the South, they're in the West. Some of them are Muslims, some of them are Christians. So let's start having a conversation about the country we want and be asking these our leaders about how they will address those problems. Otherwise, we just may find ourselves in 2023 with a worse government that we're going through now. God forbid.
You just brought out the words from my mouth in regards of. Okay, Clifford is online. Hello, Clifford. Hello, Clifford.
Oh, yeah.
Hi. And yes. Okay, go ahead with your comments or your question.
I just want to go back to your earlier question. And my concern is the government, the present government we have, seems not to be in touch with reality. The government seems not to be in touch with reality. Reality is when we talk about the success of the nation, how well the nation is doing. I believe that the greatest yardstick, the right yardstick to measure success, is by looking at the lives of the populace, the lives, the well-being of the people. And when you cannot see that, when it's not reflecting on the well-being of the people, then whatever the government talks about, the level of acute, whatever it is, it's a failure. It's a total failure because this is exactly where you see the input in the lives of the people. When it's not reflected in the lives of the people, the common man you see on the road, the people in the village, people, the children that are coming out of school. And secondly, whatever long-term plan the government is making for a better economy in Nigeria, with the present structure and belief of the Nigerian people, it's not going to yield any fruit. Because, one of the challenges, and the greatest challenge, is that the people have lost faith in our leaders.
Thank you, Clifford. Thank you, Clifford. I think we'll take off from that place where you ended, and that was even where I was coming to. So you also took it out from my mouth in terms of the Nigerian people seem to have lost faith in their leaders, Doctor. They seem to have lost faith in their leaders. Can this crop of politicians take us to the promised land, Doctor?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I wish there's a way to, first of all, for the common man in Nigeria to make sure that their voting cards speak for them. But beyond the voting card is the ability of the Nigerian to understand that the power is in your hands. You can do a recall of the politician. If it is not working for your local government area or your senatorial zone or your state, have we ever seen somebody being recalled? We need to use that card. That's the currency that we need to use.
For some of the people that are there now, did they really get there?
However you got there.
Because they did merit it.
No, however you got there. Let's forget about how you got there now, because that's something that has to do with institutions. But the fact that you are there... Is that
not also part of the problem?
It's a problem. It's a major problem. But the fact that you're there now and you're always sleeping, when the camera is on you, you are found sleeping, you've never made a contribution, and you're not protecting your people. You should be recalled. People should make sure that they use that, because that's a very powerful tool on the hands of the average Nigerian. But beyond that is the fact that I wish there's a way we can do away with the people that have served us over time and bring in a crop of new people and try them out Whoever is new, whether the person is capable or not, let's try something new. Let's have a new generation of politicians. We are tired of the old. They've not added anything. And the tendency is that they go back to what, when campaign comes, they promise heaven and earth. But then when they get there, they forget their promises and they fall back on the fact that they are being protected, they are being pampered. And as far as they are concerned, their view is just very myopic.
Fadekemi, let me bring you in here. Doctor has said, we are tired of the old. We should bring in new people. Is Fadekemi still there? We should bring in new people. If you take a look at perhaps the system, and we did mention institutional capacity earlier on, which Mr. Oyedele did talk about, in terms of we need to strengthen our institutions. What came to my mind is this debate about electronic voting or no electronic voting, electronic transmission and whatever. Can we really get a good economy without getting good politics involved? If we take a look at perhaps the reality show that was just concluded over this weekend, and when I heard the number of votes that went into it, 1 billion votes, I marveled. I said, can't we just have a technology that when I'm at home, I'm here in Abuja, but I can vote for my local government chairman over there, I can vote for my president, I can vote for my governor, without me even going to the polls. I can't vote twice because that technology will enable me, it will block me. I was thinking like this at home over this weekend. Why is it difficult to do? Or is it that the politicians are seemingly profiting from this failed system so that they can continue to be there? Your view, quickly.
So I think where I would start from on that is just to kind of touch on the fact that it's true that there is this direct relationship between the economic policies we see today and the politics that are at play. So like one would always like influence the other. They always go hand in hand. And so if it's a question of, what would it take to get more people to vote, there are lots of different factors that come into play here. Like, we have a high level, like people would say that we have a high level of voter apathy in Nigeria, where, people, like majority of the population would opt out of voting because they don't feel like their vote would actually count for anything. And so it's important for us to interrogate like why that belief is there in the first place. I think we talked earlier on this show about, the lack of trust in the institution. So the fact that people just feel that even if they went through, even if they were to go through like, the process of actually voting or maybe even registering to get a voter's card, like none of that would actually count for anything when the results actually come out. Essentially that the political process is not representative of people's views and what they require. So there's definitely a case there around like, fixing that. Then I think, Nancy, you also talked about like even the ease of voting as well. Like how easy is it for the average Nigerian to actually vote? And that's also a very, very valid point. Like, to what extent can we actually automate that process? But then what I would say then as well is something that needs to go hand in hand with that is the fact that people need to be educated enough about, what their vote would mean. So what casting a vote like towards like one political candidate, what outcome that would yield for like the entire population. So I feel like those are the three different things that I would, be focused on when I think about like the voting process and, what political outcomes that yield for us.
Okay, Taiwo, just a very quick one as we end. In 20 seconds, what's your closing remark as we end? Quite a whole lot have been said here this morning. I can really, get out like 30 nuggets from what has been said here today. But your closing remarks.
Yeah, I'll say every country has good people and they have people who don't mean well for their countries. So is what we have in Nigeria. And that's the reason why we're not Somalia today or South or Sudan is because we still have a large number of Nigerians who are doing good. So my encouragement would be to say, we seem to be losing that pie, that percentage of the pie, and the number of Nigerians who are working against the interests of Nigeria is now increasing at an alarming rate because they want the country to fail. And if that continues, then the country will fail. But then if we decide as a people that regardless, we continue to do the right thing, then these are challenges that would overcome in no time. So people need to be honest in their dealings. Don't profit from making pains for another people
Okay.
When you say you will do something, deliver on it. And not every conversation should end up in Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, or Muslim and Christian. We're first and foremost human, and then we are Nigerians. So
Okay.
let's work together for the interest of our country.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oyedele. Doctor, we have 10 seconds to...
No problem.
Yes, 10 seconds.
For me, the national plan should zero in on the digital economy and the wins from there, and then work on security.
Okay.
Those are the things that are very, very critical,
Okay.
because it's critical for everything that surrounds the economic planning for the future.
Okay. Thank you very much, Doctor. We've come to the end of today's conversation, and I hope, you know, you all learned from today's conversation. Quite a whole lot has been said. Thank you very much, Doctor. I've been speaking with Dr. Ngozi Egbuna, the former Director General at West African Monetary Institute. I've also been speaking with Taiwo Oyedele, who is a fiscal policy partner and Africa tax leader at PricewaterhouseCoopers. Fadekemi Abiru, the Editor-in-Chief of Stears Business, also joined me today. Thank you, all of you. I'll see you again tomorrow. And thank you to those that called, too. Please join me again tomorrow on this station. I am Nancy Naji. Bye-bye.